Hello everyone! As per your requests, some old challenges are going to be coming up with new ships, starting with making your partner smile. As always, special thanks to my lovely patrons, members, and all of you who still watch my videos. Don't forget to subscribe to keep up with the uploads, and check out the members only posts with jealousy and confession series. Hey, I just came up with an amazing idea. Oh, what is it this time? Do I want to know? Wait, Yams, it's going to be fun, I can feel it. Right, so challenge time. I saw it the other day on socials and people seem to love it, so I thought we could do it too. Another challenge? You'll love this one, promise. It's to make your boyfriend smile. Oh, that sounds nice. Little difficult though. Yeah, I'm aware, but that's part of the fun since all our boyfriends are a bit stoic. A bit is a slight understatement, don't you think? Hey, who won the last bet, huh? Who was right about Tsuki? Okay, fair enough. So, are we all in? Sure, I kinda wanna see Tobio smile properly again. He always looks like a doofus in team pictures. Might be a nice change of pace, so sure. Alright. Awesome. Good luck. There weren't many things outside the ordinary that managed to make Tsukishima smile. Even his interests were usually only able to lure a faint smile on his face. Those were nice, of course, but Yamaguchi wouldn't personally count them towards the challenge, as special as they were. However, there was one thing that always worked, which was exactly why he now rushed towards the Sendai Gymnasium, praying there wasn't much of a queue by the entrance. Stupid reports. If Ito was actually capable, it could have been done so much earlier. He swallowed the curses aimed at his coworker and carefully slid around the crowd to get to the entrance, glad for the tiny perks of having his boyfriend on the team. All it took was to wave a little card, and he made it inside in record time. Sometimes it's great he went pro. He chuckled under his breath, his heart swelling with pride, like it always did when he recalled Tsukishima's journey. It took a while, but the development was incredible. Almost like in some novel. Though I think Kay would laugh if I said that out loud. That could potentially also work for the challenge, but that would be a cheap way out. He had a better idea. Well, better if his plan worked, that is. Speaking of, he made his way towards his seat, glad he didn't decide to give it to someone else when it looked like his work would be in the way. Of course, he had a premium seat, just like all partners of the players, which was another great perk of dating a Frogs player. I wonder if anyone else is here today. Just as he thought that, he spotted a familiar face slightly away from the crowd. He waved at Yahaba, for a moment considering going over to talk, but then decided against it. From what he heard, it was a small miracle Yahaba was here in person, and he didn't want to potentially add more stress onto him. However, he did motion to Yahaba to let him know he could join him if he wanted to, which earned him a gentle smile. Pretty. No wonder even Kyotani is head over heels for him. He shook his head, almost seeing Tsukishima's offended look, purely because he basically complimented Kyotani, not because he could see someone was pretty, and took his seat at the front at the very edge of the line, right where he could lean over the railing and see the whole court like the palm of his hand. Just in time to be deafened by the cheers erupting around when the home team was called out to the court. He grinned and waved at the tall blonde, earning a surprised look and the sweetest smile he could imagine. He would even go as far as to say Tsukishima looked excited. I sure hope so, with how grumpy he was when I told him I wouldn't be able to come this time. Fortunately, his boss was in a good mood today, meaning he managed to both make his boyfriend happy and complete the challenge in one go. The whistle announced start of the match, turning his attention to the court. He waited just outside the player's private area for Tsukishima to join him on the way home, barely able to stay quiet and not whistle happily. A rather difficult task, considering he was going home with his boyfriend, and because said boyfriend's team just earned an incredible victory. What else could he wish for? He startled with a pair of long arms wrapped around him from behind, but soon recognized the feeling of glasses pressed against his face and the quiet, content hum by his ear. What a nice surprise. Hey, congrats on the win. You were awesome. Thank you. He kissed Yamaguchi's cheek and finally stepped around to be by his side. A gentle expression settled on his face as he brushed his hair away. I thought you couldn't come today. Yeah, I pulled some favors. Couldn't miss your match, could I? Did that make you happy? Smile tucked in the corners of Tsukishima's mouth. More than you think. It's easier to play when you are watching. Is that so? That's good. I'll make sure to be here during the elimination phase. He entwined their fingers together, swinging their hands between them as he pulled Tsukishima towards the exit and home. Come on, let's get something to eat. Having Kageyama as one's boyfriend meant getting used to his grumpy resting face. To be completely fair, Hinata thought it was adorable ever since they grew closer, and he loved squishing his cheeks whenever he got too pouty or frowny. And also, it taught him to appreciate the rare moments when Kageyama smiled for real. He absolutely loved those, melting every time because somehow Kageyama smiled beautifully when he was relaxed. And the fact that he was one of the few people fortunate enough to witness them was just a cherry on top. The only issue he now faced was making Kageyama smile. Sure, he smiled at him and with him, but he wasn't sure if Kageyama ever smiled because of his actions. Well, only one way to find out. I guess if it at least makes him happy, the challenge is a success. He rubbed his hands together as if he was preparing some big scheme, although in a way he was doing just that, and skipped to the bedroom with his laptop in hands, his heart speeding up with excitement. With one last check of the clock to make sure he was calling at the right time, he pressed the video call button and settled comfortably on the bed, a wide smile splitting his face the second he saw Kageyama's face on the screen. Hey, how's my sick blueberry? Kageyama frowned, but he couldn't hide the fond glint in his eyes. I told you not to call me that. I can't help it. Also, don't change the subject. How are you doing? Is it better? This time, Kageyama didn't hide anything behind the scowl, although Hinata would have to be blind to not see how tired he looked. It's a bit better. Captain stopped by yesterday and brought me some herbal tea that really helps. That's nice of him. You better be staying in bed though. No running around until you are better. Do you realize how ironic that sounds coming from you? Are you seriously going to hold that over my head our whole lives? A soft smile curled Kageyama's lips. So pretty, Hinata's heart skipped a beat. Probably. If it means we'll be together for just as long. Oh, Tobio. It was unusual to hear such sentiments from Kageyama. Maybe the sickness was partially at fault now for letting it escape, but the more it now melted Hinata's heart. Fortunately, he also planned on spending his life by Kageyama's side, in some form or another. Speaking of which... Oh, by the way, I have a surprise for you. Kageyama tilted his head, a little confused, and Hinata took a deep breath to settle his excitement. He could theoretically count the challenge as done since Kageyama smiled already, but that wasn't his main goal here. Happiness was. He quickly searched for the plane tickets in his email and then shared his screen with a huge grin on his face. Guess what's coming in just a month? Kageyama's brows scrunched as he leaned closer to read the text, his eyes widening with every passing moment until he looked straight into the camera. Are you? Yep, I'm going to Italy. I found a great deal and we'll be on a break at the time, so I thought I could visit you. Isn't it awesome? For a while, Kageyama froze completely. His mouth parted as he stared at the screen, and Hinata startled. W? Is it bad? Do you not want that? No, give me a moment. He let out a shuddered breath then, his hands visibly trembling a little as he covered his face, and only then did Hinata notice the unusual glint in his eyes. Oh, do you miss me so much? Shut up. You can shut me up once I land in Rome. To that, Kageyama chuckled, failing to inconspicuously wipe his eyes. Hinata grinned too, excitement bubbling in his chest, and only regretting he couldn't reach through the screen to hug his boyfriend. But that was fine. He just had to wait another month. Then he would get all the hugs and kisses he wanted. And more importantly for this moment, Kageyama looked happy. Teary-eyed and still a bit sick, but happy. There unfortunately weren't many things Kuro could do to make Kenma smile on purpose. Sure, he smiled when he won in a ranked game or when he watched Hinata go wild on court, but that wouldn't really be Kuro's doing. Unless he let Kenma beat him on purpose, but he was quite sure Kenma would realize that quickly and frown more likely, which only left him with a couple of options. He cross-checked the store page and Kenma's wishlist for about the 10th time, just to be absolutely sure he was buying the correct game, before finally hitting the purchase button. It was some indie game he had never heard about before until Kenma started mentioning it since a couple weeks ago. Although that wasn't much of a surprise since he didn't have much time to follow game releases now that he was put into his position at work. Bitter, really. It used to be one of the few things we could talk about that both of us understood. He shook his head to chase the unnecessary thoughts away and closed the laptop, heading into the kitchen instead. The game would be a hopefully nice surprise, but it would be too easy to just give him a game and call it a day. So he left the game as a backup plan in case everything else failed, and decided to try his hand at baking instead. Fortunately for him, Kenma's love for apple pies hadn't diminished over the years. Unfortunately, while he was a good cook if he said so himself, baking was a skill in a league of its own, meaning he had to give it his all to not mess up. Taking example from all the semi-professional cooking channels, he prepared all the ingredients needed into bowls to have them at hand for later. He then went through the recipe again, taking note of the order of steps and times, somewhat feeling he still wasn't ready for this. However, Kenma was supposed to come home in about an hour, so he had to get baking now. Fingers crossed, I guess. Come on, it can't be that difficult, right? With the recipe and all, they make it look effortless. How do they make it look so easy? It's not easy at all. He let out a frustrated groan, trying and failing to remove the sticky dough from his hands. The kitchen was a mess, he was a mess, and the pie was still not even half done. In fact, the only thing he managed was to prepare the caramelized apples, since that technically counted as cooking. He couldn't even roll the dough out without it sticking to everything and tearing the moment he tried to pull it off the surface. It's not like there's a reason they sell pre-made pastry dough for these. But no, you have to do it yourself. In one last desperate attempt to get the sticky dough from his hands, he dusted everything with more flour, covering the entire counter and himself with the thin layer of powder. Great. What are you doing? He jumped, accidentally knocking over the container with flour as he swirled around. Oh, hey, you are home already? Don't worry about this, it's fine, I'm almost done. Kenma furrowed his brow, measuring the kitchen and the front of Kuro's t-shirt. Done with what? Turning our kitchen into kids' sandbox? I'll clean it afterwards, I promise. He sighed, strategically positioning himself to hide the mess from Kenma's view. It was a disaster, obviously. He should have known better than to test his luck on such a short notice without practicing first. Sorry. He expected a huff, maybe some disgust to twist Kenma's face along with annoyance. And yet, he was rendered motionless when a chuckle left Kenma's mouth, the lively twinkle in his eyes speeding up his heartbeat. I still don't get how you can be so good at cooking and so horrible at baking at the same time. What was it supposed to be? Apple pie. You aren't upset? No. You'll be cleaning it, not me, so why would I be? He reached up to brush away some of the flour from Kuro's cheeks, amused smile tugging on his lips. You look ridiculous. But I appreciate you wanted to surprise me. How do you know? Because I know you. You wouldn't bake something I like otherwise. That was a logic Kuro couldn't dispute even if he tried. And so he allowed himself to relax, smiling too as he leaned down to kiss Kenma's forehead. Even though his baking attempt turned into a disaster, he still managed to make Kenma smile, and he still had the game prepared for later. All in all, life was good. Despite just getting rid of sickness, Akashi was already in full swing with work again, and Bokuto was worried. Well, worried maybe wasn't the right word to use, but he really wanted his boyfriend to take a break for a while. The forced pause didn't really count as proper rest. Unfortunately, Akashi dismissed him completely when he mentioned it before, stating that he was feeling much better now, and that he had already lost too much time by being sick before he turned his full focus on the manga pages again. He's going to fall sick again like this. He grumbled quietly under his breath, trying to think of some way he could do the challenge and maybe bring Akashi to different thoughts for a moment at the same time. His distractions were usually pretty successful, albeit unintentionally most of the time, but they never seemed to work on Akashi. At most earned him a gentle scolding, and that was it. Maybe something's changed now that we live together. Doesn't hurt to try at least. Determined, he made his way to the little office space Akashi used when he worked from home, not bothering with knocking before he peeked inside. Do you still have a lot to work on? Akashi didn't even glance up from the page he was working on, giving a quiet hum. Quite a lot, yes. Oh, I wanted to go for a walk. We can go later. but it's going to be dark already before you finish. He shuffled his feet and draped himself over Akashi's shoulders, earning a surprised gasp and a click of tongue. Come on, let's go outside when it's nice weather. I can't right now, Ko. He erased the unintentional mark he made from surprise, and Bokuto could swear he felt him clench his jaw. I lost way too much time. I need to make up for it. But you'll fry your brain like this. He accompanied the statement with a gentle nudge to the side of Akashi's head, earning a barely hearable grunt. Come on, let's go for a walk. You need to... Do you think annoying me and keeping me from work is a good strategy to get me to go anywhere with you? He didn't raise his voice, nor did he sound particularly upset. But Bokuto flinched regardless, the words feeling like a crack of a whip. He was annoying, wasn't he? Most of the time anyway. Akashi just tolerated it more than others, ever since high school. Reluctantly, but taking the hint, he briefly squeezed Akashi's shoulder before pulling away completely and backing out of the door. Okay, don't overwork yourself. He closed the door as quietly as he could, not wanting to bother Akashi further, and went to fetch the small ball of yarn and a hook, his newest project. It wasn't more than a whim that he decided to pick up crocheting of all hobbies, but the video he saw of people making crochet scarves, bags, and even tiny animals for their loved ones captivated him too much to not try. Be it because of his large fingers, or because he was just too clumsy to do anything requiring more precise touch than volleyball, it wasn't going too well. But he refused to give up despite having to scrap his previous 3 attempts at making a coaster. His ultimate goal was to learn how to make amigurumi and let Akashi take them to work with him to hopefully brighten his day a little. However, looking at the less than even stitches and edges, he had a long, long way ahead of him. He couldn't give Akashi anything that wasn't as perfect as him. It's fine, practice makes perfect. There's enough time. He bit on his lip, deep in focus on the yarn string and hook as he followed the tutorial he bought yesterday, mentally cursing his hands a few times for obstructing his view. A long sigh escaped his mouth when he finished the row, cringe creeping up his back when he took in the numerous wiggles and knots that shouldn't be there at all. Might take longer than I expected though. With one more sigh leaving his mouth, he stretched his shoulders and back, and then paused when he spotted Akashi leaned against the doorframe, watching him with the gentlest smile on his lips. Oh, hey Keiji. I thought you were still working. I was, but I need to do something. He crossed the distance to the couch, hesitating for a beat before he hugged Bokuto, hiding his face in his shoulder. I'm sorry for being cranky when we were trying to help. Oh, it's fine. You just have a lot on your mind. He returned the hug a bit faster than he intended though, subconsciously squishing Akashi to him to keep the touch going for even just a second longer before Akashi inevitably walked away to continue working. That's good what you are making. You mean that crochet? It's not going well, to be honest. I'm messing up a lot. But you are doing your best to learn, right? That's what makes it cute. It doesn't have to be perfect just yet. Aw, Keiji. He squished Akashi a bit tighter, earning a soft chuckle that melted his heart. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I didn't expect to do this, to be fair, but I'm kinda enjoying it. Just revisiting the old challenges with different ships. So if you want some specific challenge remade with the more popular ships, let me know in the comments. I will do my best to do that. If you have any other requests or ideas, the request form is linked in the video description. See you next time.